Welcome back to the Time Machine Diaries, the podcast, where we time travel to uncover the unfiltered realities of history. Your host, Cullen, and we're stepping into we're stepping into the dangerous and downright brutal world of feudal Japan to see what life was really like for a samurai. I know that you're picturing shining armor, cherry blossoms falling dramatically, and a lone warrior cutting down dozens of enemies with a single swing of their katana. Yeah, forget all that. The reality of a samurai's life, let's just say, is a mix of honor, blood, and a whole lot of rice taxes. So tighten your obi and polish your wakizashi. We're heading to the Sengoku period, aka the Warring States era, one of the bloodiest times in Japan's history. When I step out of the time machine, the air is thick with the smell of damp earth and burning wood. It's early morning, and I'm in a small village surrounded by rice paddies. Samurai are everywhere, some sharpening swords, others training, and a few shouting orders at farmers. "You there!" a sharp voice calls out. A man strides toward me, clad in lamellar armor, with a katana on his hip and a scowl on his face. His name is Ryotsu, a samurai retainer, serving under the warlord Oda Nobunaga. "You look lost," he says, eyeing me suspiciously. "You're lucky. I'm in a good mood. Follow me and try not to embarrass yourself." Just like that, I'm thrust into the world of the samurai. And let me tell you, it's not all cherry blossoms and tea ceremonies. Ryozo leads me to his home, a modest wooden structure near the village outskirts. Despite his high status, his house is far from lavish. The reality? Most samurai weren't rolling in wealth. They lived simple, disciplined lives, balancing military duties, administrative work, and farming. "First lesson," Ryozo says, handing me a broom. "Before you master the sword, you must master the mundane." That's right. Samurai weren't just warriors. They were administrators, tax collectors, sometimes even farmers themselves. Here's how their day usually broke down. The first order of business was combat training. Samurai practiced with wooden swords, bokken, bows, yumi, and spears, yari. Ryozo's men spar fiercely, shouting with every strike. "Discipline is everything," he says. "Without it, we're no better than bandits." After training, it's time to deal with paperwork, or in this case, rice. As retainers of a daimyo, feudal lord, samurai were responsible for managing their lord's lands. This meant overseeing taxes, which were often paid in rice. Ryozu drags me to a granary, where farmers nervously present their harvest. One farmer protests, saying his crop was ruined by bad weather. Ryozu listens, nods, then confiscates half of what the man has left anyway. "Mercy doesn't fill bellies," he mutters, walking away. Samurai also acted as local law enforcement. While on patrol, we encounter a group of peasants arguing over stolen firewood. Ryozu settles the dispute with a single glare. "Sometimes the threat of violence is enough," he tells me, "but don't mistake fear for respect." No episode about samurai would be complete without a look at their weapons. Ryozo takes me to his armory, where I get up close and personal with some of the most iconic tools in history. First, the katana. "This is my soul," Ryozo says. Unsheathing his katana, the blade gleams in the sunlight, and it's terrifyingly sharp. Forged from folded steel, the katana was as much a work of art as it was a weapon. But here's the kicker. Samurai didn't always use it in battle. Spears and bows were often more practical on the field. The wakizashi, the shorter companion to the katana, The wakizashi was used for close combat or grimly for seppuku, ritual suicide. Ryozo's tone darkens as he explains this. Honor demands sacrifice, he says, but it's not a choice anyone takes lightly. The Yumi. At over 7 feet tall, the Yumi is a monster of a weapon. Samurai were trained in archery from a young age, and Ryozu proudly demonstrates his skill, hitting a target dead center from 200 feet away. Before the sword, there is the bow, he says. A true warrior masters both. By midday, word spreads that a rival clan is moving through the area. Ryozo gathers his men, and the atmosphere shifts from calm to tense in an instant. Samurai armor, or yoroi, is a marvel of design. Made from lacquered plates of iron and leather, it's surprisingly lightweight, allowing for mobility on the battlefield. Ryozo dons his helmet, kabuto, its fierce crest designed to intimidate enemies. War is chaos, he says, tightening the straps on his armor, but a samurai must always find clarity. Remember your training and never lose focus. As the samurai mount their horses and ride out, I'm left behind thankfully. The Sengoku period was infamous for its brutal, no-holds-barred battles. Let's be real, I wouldn't last 5 seconds out there. After the skirmish, Ryozo and I sit by a fire, the scent of roasted fish filling the air. He's quiet, staring into the flames. A samurai's life is not his own, he finally says. We serve our Lord, our family, our ancestors. But when the blade is sheathed, what remains? It's a rare moment of vulnerability, and it hits me. Beneath the armor, the discipline, and the honor, samurai were human. They laughed, cried, and questioned their place in the world, just like the rest of us. And so ends my journey to feudal Japan. Big thanks to Ryozo and his men for not cutting me in half during training. Those guys are some motherfuckers, let me tell you. If you enjoyed this episode, share it, leave a review, or just practice your kiai in the mirror. I won't judge. Next week, we're heading to the 1920s to crash the biggest speakeasy in New York City. It's gonna be messy. Until then, keep wondering, keep exploring, and remember, even the sharpest blade dulls without purpose.